So I had my first serious relationship. Like, I'd had girlfriends beforehand, but in high school, some of them just don't matter. It was very toxic. It was toxic from very quickly in the relationship. And so for about 5 months of that relationship, I was trying to separate, but eventually it ended. But that relationship had such a strong effect on me moving forward, because it basically damaged the way that I saw women, damaged especially the way that I saw myself. At that point in my life, I had no grounding or idea of how to deal with those emotions, because they were such big, strong emotions. And so what I did was I just bottled them up. There was one particular night where things were real bad. I was hanging out with some of my old high school friends at this stage, and it was an evening, and I just had an argument with this girl, and it had ended really badly. And I was crying. I was an absolute mess. And my friend, while he might have had good intentions, he offered me some drugs, some pot. And at this stage, I was just so desperate to numb the pain. So I tried it and enjoyed it. And then this sort of started me on a journey of exploring those various different temptations. The next few years, early 20s, they were kind of good years. We had a lot of fun, but it only really enabled and continued my self-destructive tendencies at that point. All those emotions and everything that I'd bottled up for years and tried to throw it away, all these things just exploded in me like a volcano. So I reached out to my mum eventually. They never knew how depressed I was, how bad my anxiety was, or how often I'd thought about taking my own life. All this is going down, and I finally confessed to my mum, where I'm at. She's understandably devastated as a mother. I just say to her, I just wish I wasn't alive anymore. And after I say that, I look to her and see her, and she's just crying. And I think in my head, man, I'm so poisonous to the people that love me. I make them sad. And so it reinforces this negative thinking in my head. She got me to various doctors, to psychiatrists, talking therapists, just you name it. We tried it all. The doctors got me on various antipsychotics, antidepressants, and we just kept upping the dosage because it wouldn't have the desired effect. I just turned into a pharmaceutical zombie. I wouldn't feel anything at all. But at the same time, I'm also taking illegal drugs. And so it's just like this self-destructive concoction. So I'm just losing my mind. And it was the only way to silence the thoughts, to silence these voices that would just scream horrible, negative things at me all the time. I was so committed to suicide and just ending my life at this point. I didn't see any hope or any way out, that I Googled these specific drugs to find out what the lethal dosage was. And then I doubled it. And in that moment, as I'm just contemplating about to take my own life, it's just like I'm reminded of my childhood, of God and of my family, and how much this would actually affect them more than it would affect me. And I don't pray it out loud because I don't know what to say, but in my heart, the words are really clear. God, if you are real, if you can change my life, I'll give it to you because I don't want it anymore. I decided I couldn't go through with it because I just knew in my heart that if I was to kill myself right then, I'd go straight to hell and I would totally deserve it. It's from then on I decided, okay, I've heard about this God that can change people's lives. If there's any truth to it, then he has to be real. And it came to this one particular day where I went and hung out with a friend of mine. His name was Spoon. I went with him and we got some drugs. I was having a conversation with him for about an hour and a half. That's all I can remember, because the whole time my mind is just screaming with voices. And it's worse than it had ever been before. They were just yelling and screaming toxic, poisonous stuff. Just like, no one likes you. You should just kill yourself right now. You're pathetic. You're a loser. Just horrible things. And it was so distracting and so violent and loud that I couldn't actually focus on anything outside of my body. I ended up cutting him off, moving forward onto the edge of my seat, looking him directly in the eyes and saying, why don't you have another hit and see how that treats you? And then after this, I sort of come back to myself. It was in that moment that I realized that the voice that I spoke with and the words that came out, they weren't my own. And immediately I kicked into a panic attack because I didn't know what the heck was going on. I freak out, I don't say anything to Spoon. I get up, bolt to the kitchen, scull back some water, and then sprint out of his house. But as I'm driving and I'm freaking out about what's just happened, God speaks. I hear it in my heart, and it just pierces through everything, all the noise, all the violence, all the negative thinking, all the panicking. It just goes straight through it all, and it's just clear as day. He promises me that he'll give me his strength to set me free. So I'm freaking out because I don't know what that means, and I'm also freaking out because God just spoke to me. And so I get straight home and I just go straight to bed because I don't know how to handle any of this. So I wake up the next morning, and what would happen every day is that I have the same thought into my mind every day, and that is, let's get high. But on this particular morning, the second thought that pops into my head is different. It is, but God promised he'd give me the strength to set me free. At this stage, I still have no idea what that means, or no idea what that even looks like, so I don't know what to do about that. So I just go about my usual routine. I grab my drugs, and I'd sit here on the outside the house, and I'd have my laptop there. And what I'd do is, as I was getting high, I'd have a whole bunch of tabs of YouTube open, and I'd just be watching stuff. Then I'd close one tab that I just watched a video of, and then immediately the next tab is one of these worship songs. The very second that this song starts playing, I'm instantly sober. It's like this high that I just built up is just gone in a second. And then God speaks to me again. And he says, get up, take your drugs, and flush them down the toilet. I take this bag of drugs, which had so much power over me for so long, and I open it right up and I pour all the contents down in the toilet, and I slam the lid on it, and I slam the flush button. And the moment that I flush it, in obedience to what he had just asked me to do, it's like his presence hits me like a ton of bricks. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like suddenly this weight lifts off of me in his presence, and I just feel him so strong. And I fall to my knees in that moment and surrender to him. He says to me that I was there when you were born. I was there when you walked away from the church. I was there when you entered into a lifestyle of sin. I was there when you first started taking drugs. I was right there in the room when you were about to take your own life. And it was him who had reminded me of himself. I finally have an understanding of what real love is. Real, genuine love. Something that my whole heart and being had been crying out for my whole life. And he cast out these demons. Addiction, depression, anxiety, gone instantly. He healed me totally of that stuff, removed it from my life. The desire to take drugs after that moment, completely gone. I wanted nothing to do with it. And so he answered that prayer in that one encounter, because that's all it takes. One encounter with the love of God, and you will never be the same. It's impossible to encounter God and come away the same. You will always be changed, because that's who he is. He's a life changer, he's a person changer. He brings you new life, not the same life. He doesn't make you a better person, he makes you a new person.